Hi everyone, welcome back to the FORTIFI System video series. My name is Connor, and in this video I will go over how to install the FORTIFI gateway and sensors into your application. The first thing to cover is to double check that you have all the required parts necessary for a complete system. This includes one FORTIFI gateway and the accompanying power supply and antenna, all your radios and at least one FORTIFI power supply per radio, all your sensors, for example motors and temperature sensors, any accompanying connectors, that is wide blocks, junction blocks, and 2 and 6 foot cables, any AC power adapter cables, any mounting equipment, for example sheet metal screws and screwdrivers, and a phone with a camera and internet and Bluetooth capabilities. You will need the FORTIFI app for installation. The app can be found on both iOS's App Store and Android's Play Store. Make sure you know the login associated with your account. If you do not know the login info, please contact the site supervisor or contact FORTIFI's 24/7 support desk at the email in the description. Before we get into the installation of the rest of the system, it is important to get the gateway set up. First, snap a picture of the gateway serial number plate and forward that to the FORTIFI support desk with the name and address of the site where the gateway is being installed. If at all possible, set up the gateway at least one day before the rest of the installation. This allows the gateway plenty of time to establish connection to the internet. The support desk will also measure the cellular connection strength over a 24-hour period to ensure a long-term reliable connection. The gateway should be placed in a location that is not accessible by the public. The business office or utility room are recommended choices. You need the gateway to be within about 150 feet of at least 3 cabinets where you will install FORTIFI equipment. Finally, connect the long, flat antenna to the cell ports on the gateway and the short, round antenna to the RF port. The gateway may be mounted in any orientation, but must be mounted in dry locations only. Please be sure that the gateway is powered with the antenna installed before starting installation of other FORTIFI hardware. Be sure to follow all safety guidelines, including food safety. Installation requires evaporator fan motor replacement, including electrical connections. This guide will walk you through how to install the FORTIFI system. However, it does not cover the refrigeration, electrical, and mechanical system processes required to perform this work. It works best to start with cases near the gateway first, then branch out across the entire site. For each cabinet, first remove power, then remove the evaporator motor assemblies and inspect. Confirm fan blades and baskets can be reused or that you have the correct new blade and baskets to make the replacement. Lay out new motors and FORTIFI equipment on the floor in front of the unit. Make sure you have all the required motors, sensors, radios, and power supplies. Since FORTIFI utilizes the plug-and-play method, when visually mapping out where all the devices will go into the case, just know that the data will flow normally as long as the motor or sensor has a path to a radio and a FORTIFI power supply. Now is a good time to scan all the equipment with the phone application. This is where the hierarchy comes in. Make sure to have an internet connection and input your account's email and password. Also make sure the Browse System on Cloud is selected. Once you have logged in, navigate through the hierarchy and press the Configure selection on the name of the gateway that is at your location. In this menu, you can edit or delete any radios that are currently on the gateway, but for now we are going to add a radio to the gateway. Use your camera to scan the QR code of the radio. Be sure to enter a name for the radio using your naming convention so it can be located on a map. If there is no standard naming conventions for the cases, then give a good description of what the case holds and/or where the case sits in the store. In the same menu where you gave the radio a name, you can scan the rest of the sensors that will be connected to the radio. Also, like the radio, be sure to name or number each sensor. It is useful to include the location for each component, such as left motor, center motor, inlet air, etc. Again, you can come back and edit any of this information later. Know that each radio can interface up to 8 motors and 6 temperature sensors. This includes both the wired and pipe sensors. It is important to note that even though nothing is powered on, the FORTIFI system will use the info from the QR codes to identify all the sensors once they are powered on. Lastly, before you insert any of the devices, be sure that all components are secured above potential water and that all connectors are sloped down as to prevent capturing any water. When ready for the actual installation of FORTIFI's physical components, it is recommended to start with the radio. Place the radio on the left side of every case. This makes them easy to find in case of service requirements. If more than one radio is required for a case, then spread the radios evenly across. Mount the radio onto the shroud with the connectors facing down. If there is a chance to connect the FORTIFI power supply to the radio, do so now. The power supply can be plugged in at any point in the physical setup, but is recommended to be as close to the radio as possible. Be sure the AC power supply side is appropriately wired to an AC supply line following all local regulations and codes. Secure all loose wiring and keep line voltage wiring separate from the low voltage radio communication wiring. Having the radio powered on will give it a good amount of time to connect to the site's gateway, as it can take up to 15 minutes before it can connect. When powered on, the radio will show one of 4 behaviors. Quick blinking intervals indicate that the radio is not joined to the gateway and is looking to join. When the LED is constant, this means that the radio is joined to the gateway. If the LED is blinking a little longer than the quick blink, then this means that you are connected to the radio via Bluetooth and the radio is not joined to the gateway. If the radio is mostly on but slowly blinks off, then this means that you are connected to the radio via Bluetooth and the radio is joined to the gateway. Motors are a straight swap out. Replace the old motor with the Gentech Connect motor. This is done simply by swapping out the motors. Cryo motors use a center-threaded shaft and fit standard hubless fan blades. 3 or 4 arm mounts and side mounts are all supported. Guide the motor cables through the wiring feed hole. This will make sure the cables do not collide with the fan blades during operation. Tie extra wire out of the way and out of potential water pooling locations. Use any Y-blocks, junction blocks, or extension cables to connect more than one device to a radio. Finally, reinstall the fan blade to the new motor. The pipe temperature sensor element is installed using the copper clips that hold the sensor tight against the pipe being monitored. 3 sizes of clips are included with every sensor. Use the one most closely matching your application. The sensor signal conditioner box is located partway along the cable assembly and includes a mounting hole so it can be secured with a screw or wire tie. Do not attach the signal conditioner box to a liquid line. 4 sensors are recommended to monitor an evaporator coil. Use this diagram for typical locations. When installing and scanning in each sensor, include the numbers 1 through 4 with a name to indicate where the sensor is located. Air temperature sensors may be installed on the inlet or outlet side of the evaporator fans. Placing 2 sensors, one on each side, will give the most diagnostic capability. They can also be installed anywhere else that the temperature needs to be recorded. The sensors can be secured with a sheet metal screw or wire tie. The last thing to do before closing the case and moving to the next one is to double check that all the sensors are physically connected to and sending data to the radio, that the radio is connected to the gateway, and that the radio and sensors are reporting to the cloud. To check if all the sensors are connected to the radio, you will need to log into the Bluetooth side of the app. Make sure to enable Bluetooth on your phone before proceeding. On the login page, make sure to select Local Device Connect, then log in. On the radio main screen, the app will scan for FORTIFI radios near your location. If a radio is within your phone's proximity, its EUI64 ID will show up on the list and is ordered by Bluetooth signal strength to the radio. The EUI64 ID from the barcode on the radio will match the IDs that pop up on the screen. Press the Scan option to scan the proximity again for FORTIFI radios. Pressing on a radio will take you to the radio options screen. In this menu, click on the View Devices button. Here, all the devices that are physically connected to the radio will populate the device, identifier, and time columns in black font. Make sure that the number of rows that show up matches the number of devices that are physically connected to the radio. If a motor or sensor is missing, please verify communication wiring connections. In the same area of the app, you can check to see if the radio is connected to the gateway. In the radio main screen, select the Local Network button. On the next screen, look at the status line and make sure it reads Joined Network. If you have scanned the radio in and it does not say Joined Network, please power cycle the radio, then wait 10 minutes. Lastly, there are two ways to check if the radio is sending data to the cloud. The first way is to use the phone app. Log into Browse System on Cloud and navigate back to the gateway. If the radio is connected to the cloud, you will be able to see the data from the sensors populate this page. Not all sensor data comes in at the same time, so power up the radio and wait about 20 minutes after physical connections are made for data to appear here. The second way to check is on the web browser. With the same login info, go back to the dashboard and navigate through the hierarchy in the left-hand pane to where the radio was added. The connection of the radio and sensors to the dashboard can be considered good if you see that each sensor and its data appear in the list. Again, this process of data reaching the dashboard may take some time. Once the checks are complete, put any shelves back into the case and return any product that was taken out. Then move on to the next case and repeat this process. If you have any further questions, please refer to our FORTIFI installation manual. You can also contact our 24/7 help desk at the email in the description. That is it for this video. For more information on FORTIFI, please visit our website or go to our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for more videos on FORTIFI.